Alright, what's up guys? If you don't know me already, my name is Valkyrie, and I run a personal channel on YouTube. I do this so that I have the freedom to follow whichever whims I suppose at the time. If you look at me in Social Blade, you will find that I am listed under people. My YouTube description makes great lengths to say how this is a personal channel and how subjects and scheduling will be changed frequently, and that I sometimes just throw my opinions out into the void. When it comes to Elden Ring, I've played it on this channel, and I've definitely spoke about it on this channel, most often to yell into the void about how certain people within the community refuse to give George R.R. Martin any credit for his work on Elden Ring. I am by no means a gaming channel, however. You will see that my brand is very specifically pointed towards who I am, as opposed to what I like to do. On this channel, we've talked about drama a lot, especially about the commentary community and certain trolling behavior and certain bullying tactics. So for today, we're actually going a little bit of a sidestep, and while I feel like it merges maybe my gaming and my lore content to my drama content, really this is going to be a whole new field. But we do talk about a lot of subjects that seem relevant today when it comes to the drama community. For example, I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't say something online if you're not willing to either walk it back or back it up. I don't care if you're in Discord, I don't care if you're in DMs, I don't care if you're in emails. To a certain extent, when you put something online, it is going to probably come out eventually. And I think that every mature adult on the platform should be aware of this and do what they can to avoid their own headaches. We've also talked a lot about when you use extreme rhetoric, you can accidentally push away your audience. For example, there has been times when we talk about ableist commentary, slurs, body shaming, etc., that while the person is insulting one specific individual by calling them this, that, or the other, they may inadvertently say something that triggers their audience. And yes, to a certain extreme, we need to all buck up Buttercup. But when it comes down to it, the viewers get to choose who they're watching, and any platformer that wants to be taken seriously has to take them into account. I'm also a firm believer that the labels we give ourselves and each other are very important. Rhetoric is important, more important than the individual. I'm personally of the notion that all extremism on all sides should be looked down upon, and for many reasons, that's kind of why Elden Ring appeals to me. So let's talk a little bit about Ziostorm. Ziostorm is a creator on YouTube with 145 or so K subscribers. His YouTube career seems hyper-focused on FromSoft games. In fact, his description goes as far as saying that he is the main hub for all things Elden Ring and Souls. And if you look at him at Social Blade, you will find that he is listed under games. Essentially, Ziostorm has recently been outed for saying things in a private Discord along the nature of conservative and based communities. I'm not here to necessarily get political with you. If anything, I am a lazy anarchist. I am not a right-wing or a left-wing per se. I just hold my beliefs. And like how my platform often is built around, I'm just a guy, okay? I'm just a guy with my own thoughts and my own feelings on my own things. Ziostorm is not. Ziostorm has built a brand around Elden Ring and Souls, which is arguably the most left-wing stuff I have ever heard of. But what I have a problem with is that the way he frames this stuff is very, very extreme. In fact, saying all deviants lead to destruction seems highly fear-mongering. It seems highly radical. It seems highly extreme to me. And furthermore, I'm not actually sure that he understands what a globalist really is so much as a buzzword. But what really gets me is that he says something along the lines of being made in God's creation and accepting it, and that's how you will become great, by following God's order. And I kind of was like, Ziostorm, did you play the game? Now, I don't think Ziostorm is a big fan of George R. R. Martin's works. Clearly, he didn't see the George R. R. Martin inspiration in Renown being the promised consort. Certainly, I wasn't surprised that a guy who named his horse, and that's kind of a big deal, and followed a certain trajectory of goodness and putting a good foot forward in battle, ends up being an undead champion for a magic tree boy. To those that read A Song of Ice and Fire, and I feel like even more the Dunk and Egg novels, seeing a magic prince or tree boy with a undead champion is not unheard of. Absolutely, I feel like the most specific relation is Dunk and Egg. However, you could also make the argument for Brynden Rivers and Cold Hands. You could make the argument for Bran and Jon Stark. You could make the argument for Cersei and Robert Strong, who used to be the Mountain. Though, in the context of the things he's been bitching about, I wonder if it has more to do with the gay undertones. I literally cannot fathom playing this game and walking away with the understanding that we need to all live in the order of golden gods, and that anything that is considered an other is bad. So maybe I should tell Ziostorm now that George is an old school hippie. So much so that he was a conscientious objector when it came to his own wars. In fact, A Song of Ice and Fire is literally about otherizing people. You're not doing your homework, guy. The entire game has queer undertones, undertones of going against the grain, undertones of mistreated outsiders, undertones of basing people and treating people based on how they were born. I don't know how Ziostorm plays Elden Ring and qualifies anything. And George often writes religion with undertones of having some sort of realism to them, but the element of man corrupts them, and they become ways to control the masses. Religion in George's work becomes a means to an end, and we see this throughout Elden Ring. I would love to hear Ziostorm's opinions on Kali's people, for example, or maybe about the Nox, or maybe about the Omen, or maybe about the Jar Shamans. So when I look at the comments made by Ziostorm, I'm kind of just flabbergasted. Elden Ring is made for deviants. All of the best characters are somehow deviant. The whole plot is about shiny golden gods and their stringent, rigid ideals of morality, about outsiders, and about order. So to present these beliefs, I don't care if they're in a private Discord or not, as this brand seems woefully miscalculated. I don't care if you want to say that he's being canceled by the radical left. As far as I can tell, saying all deviants lead to destruction is radical in itself. Talking about moral values and the left being obsessed with sex, it's not your place as an Elden Ring creator, and you have the ability to create different accounts on any sort of platform and say these things not tied to your brand, but you got comfortable in your hug box, and that's the problem. So Ziostorm, I guess my question for you is, are you stupid? The real problem is the lack of accountability. I know people are saying that he's being canceled for being based, but that's not what's happening here. He ran away from Twitter because he got criticism. End of. I don't care what you want to say about radicals or cancellation. Cancellation doesn't exist. He ran away from a battle. And I don't know if you guys are playing the same game as I am, but Elden Ring is completely based around taking the player and just crushing them over and over and over again. It is in itself a form of stoicism. It is in itself a form of forge of adversity. I'm not in a mood to listen to some guy talk about Elden Ring when he didn't garner any respect for those that are different, for those that have to go through a forge of adversity, and for those that don't understand stoicism. I will not have my Elden Lord be a coward. That's some maidenless behavior, and I won't have any of it. The problem is, I have seen no public address of this. If he wanted to rebrand to be a person and go off the walls and say whatever he wanted to say, that's fine. Take it off of the main hub from Elden Ring, please. If he wanted to, say, walk it back and say, I was in a really bad mood and I let myself get carried away in some things I heard, I'd allow that. That's something. He could even go as far as saying, you know what? It's just what I believe, deal with it, and at least that would be something. But instead he ran away like a bitch, okay? Hey Ziostorm, if you are built so great by God, how come I can't see your fucking face? Hey Ziostorm, unless you're native, you can get the fuck out. What do you want to say, Bernie? I agree. Elden Ring says something about the Golden Order fundamentalists needing a complete evil to contend with. And I feel like that's a little bit poignant here.